Well, as some of you might know, who have been here at my YouTube page, I actually am in the ministry. I'm a pastor of a medium-sized church in a beautiful town called Jacksonburg, Ohio. So I decided to, since my Helix usually lives at church, and it usually lives on the platform. I'm the pastor, but they also let me play in the praise team. That is really, really, really generous of them. And I thought that you would love to see this beautiful stained glass window behind me, and then we could go into exactly what these Singwriter presets are about. I call them Singwriter because singer dash or slash songwriter doesn't fit on the Helix display. So I improvised. So here's how they work. Check this out. Me feel alive, alive. You make 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 me feel alive, alive. I saw you from an upstairs room. Oh yeah, oh my. Your sunshine tore away my gloom. Oh yeah, I tried to hide. Feel alive, alive. You make me feel alive, alive. You make me feel alive, alive. You make me feel alive, alive. Oh. You make me feel alive, alive. You make me feel alive, alive. Feel alive, alive. You make me feel alive, alive. That was fun. So I'm going to show you what's going on here. And instead of using the Helix screen or the HX Edit screen, I'm using Control. I can talk you through what's happening in the preset. Obviously, you can purchase them if you want. They're really inexpensive. You could do this yourself if you want to. The hardest thing about it is really figuring out the logic of how all this works together. But let me explain. In the upper left-hand corner, we have a button that actually turns on and off the dynamic hall reverb that is shared between presets. Now, I've set up a couple of different variations of these, but this particular preset, which is number 1, is the one that has a dynamic hall on both. It's very subtle. Please replace it or reprogram it as you see fit. You're supposed to make this sound like you want it to sound. We have a guitar tape digital delay. That is a 1/4 note, pretty subtle guitar tape delay. It's only on the guitar. And it occurs after the looper, which means if you turn the looper on and then turn on the delay, it'll delay whatever on the looper, but if you turn it off, it has not been committed to the looper, so you can turn it on and off even after you have looped. I also do that with a long delay on the vocal up in the upper right-hand corner. You could record a loop and it doesn't have a delay, and you can add the delay later. The one you can't add later is the short delay. I've set that up so what you can do is you can have a really short, like doubling effect. I was going to put an ADT effect in here, but I didn't have enough CPU. And that is because down here I have a 12-string effect on the guitar. The 12-string effect is a whole lot of fun when you're looping and you're performing solo. You can go back and forth. You could, for instance, record a regular guitar on the loop and then overdub it or play over it with the 12-string, which is something that I often do, or the other way around. There is a button to boost the output of the acoustic guitar signal by about 3 or 4 decibels. And along the bottom here on these 4 buttons, I have your record, your play or stop, your play for the looper, and then undo. In other words, I've used the command center to program permanent buttons for the looper. You don't have to hit a button to engage the looper and then come back here. There are no snapshots. They don't really work in this particular preset. You are welcome to set up your own, but I haven't done any for these just because that's really not the point of this. I do apologize for any of you that have a Helix LT. You really can't run this on an LT without some serious modifications and an outboard preamp because I'm using all 10 of the buttons, and also because you simply don't have a XLR input on your LT, only on Helix rack and Helix floor. So very briefly, I'm going to show you what's going on in this preset. This is actually, obviously, the HX Edit screen, and I blew up my screen so that it would hopefully show big enough for you to see what's going on here. So I have split my 2 inputs on the top path. This is your guitar, and this is your microphone. I set the microphone to work well at 24 dB gain, which is in your global settings on Helix. And that's with an SM58 microphone, which is a fairly typical microphone. You are going to have to adjust those settings for whatever microphone and for your voice. Let's start with the acoustic guitar. There is a 12-string effect. There is an IR that has been put in here, an impulse response of an acoustic guitar to make the guitar really come to life a little bit more. Please use the ones that I've provided or whatever you find out there on the internet, but do know that if you want to make your own and you haven't purchased my presets, I do give away all of my IRs anyway. Then we have a compressor, and followed by the compressor on both channels, by the way, is very close to default. I find the LA Studio compressor sounds great at default. And then I have a simple EQ. Because of the 12-string effect, I don't have enough DSP to do anything but the simple EQ on this guy. So this simple EQ simply cuts some of the low end and also might boost a tiny little bit of the high end. You can adjust that to taste. But the reason I put that in there is because I find that I have to cut at 2.7 kilohertz on my acoustic guitar signal or it sounds honky to me. Even with an IR, I really think it's much more pleasant when you make that change. Then on the bottom path, we have a vintage mic preamp. I think that's what it's called in there. And then we have, again, the LA Studio comp. We have a full parametric EQ. I've EQ'd that to my voice. I boosted my highs to give it a little bit of zing, just a little bit. And then I found the really annoying low frequency in somewhere in the 240, 250, 260 range. I've also done a low cut somewhere in here at about 100 hertz. And, but you will want to adjust that for your voice unless you are a tenor who sounds exactly like I do. That is followed by a delay here. All these delays do different things. This guy right here is a very, very short 20 millisecond delay, very, very low feedback, and it's a little bit, it's low enough in the mix just to give your vocals a little bit of thickness. Again, because of the 12-string effect, I couldn't do the automatic double tracking. You might find that I include the ADT in some of the other presets that don't have the 12-string. Please explore the ones when you purchase the pack. There's only going to be 4 of them, but they're all going to be similar, and yet they're going to have different capability in terms of effects. Over here in the merge block, this is really important. I take my guitar, the acoustic guitar, which I'm plugging into the input, that's just the guitar input on Helix. I pan that all the way one way, and I pan the vocal all the way the other way. The reason I do that is because then I can actually split the signal after the stereo looper, and I can apply a delay effect or any effect I want to post looper to either one of the signals, a mono signal. And then at the very end here, I have that hall reverb. And here in this merge block, I have panned them slightly on, at least on this particular preset. On one of the other presets, I pan them all the way, and then I eliminate the reverb after, and that's so you can, if you want to, plug into 2 completely different channels on your mixer, and even though your looper and everything is spitting out both of these sounds at the same time, they remain separate all the way through. I hope that makes sense to you. Again, if this seems a little daunting, go ahead. I priced these really cheap, and pick them up. My customers seem to like the stuff that I make, and I hope you do too. Bye-bye.